Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. It is officially Wednesday, 9/11, folks. A day after the debate, as well as a day in memory of one of the worst tragedies to ever happen on American soil, if not the worst, other than Pearl Harbor. But a lot of news to cover today, mostly regarding the debate last night, where Kamala Harris took on Donald Trump. And really, let's rephrase that a little bit, because it was the legacy media. It was the two moderators plus Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. There seems to be a theme here in moderators over the last 8 years or so, maybe even almost a decade. You go another 2 years after this, of these moderators ganging up against Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. I said there wasn't going to be another debate. A lot of people are saying that. Well, according to Kamala Harris spokespeople, they would like another one. And I think if Donald Trump is going to do it, the only way he should do it is go on Fox News. And I want Fox News to be as biased as effing possible after the stuff that we dealt with for the last 8+ years. Every moderator was going against Donald Trump. You know what? This time, I don't care about journalism anymore. I don't care about being fair anymore, because they're not fair. And so the expectation for conservative Republicans to always stand above everybody else and sit there and act holy. No. You want to sit there and play slimy ass politics? Well, you know what? You're going to get what's coming to you. Let me tell you, in terms of, hopefully it's Fox News. And I'll tell you what, I hope it's Sean Hannity. I hope it's the Fox 5 and Friends or whoever, and just sit there and lay into Kamala. A little bit of a morning rant to kick the show off, but it's good seeing you, Karen. It's good to see you, Liberty. PT302, always good to see you, sir. The Architect, Take America Back. Terry's here. Robert, Lulu, we got all the brigade here. Let's jump into it. So here's some accomplishments that the media didn't want to highlight yesterday. Well, Kamala Harris allowed 20 million unvetted illegals into the country. Historic inflation crisis, they barely touched on that. You know, the whole idea is a 40-year high. Some people had never seen it in their lifetimes. It was because of the vote that she implemented about the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't actually reduce inflation. No fact-checking there, though, last night whatsoever. Record high gas prices in all 50 states, but don't worry, you guys. She was domestically pumping gas like no other, even though on the campaign trail, along with her dullard boss named Joe Biden, who's still wondering if he's president or not, sat there and said, we want to remove fossil fuel. This is the same lady, by the way, great point to bring up. Green New Deal wanted to remove fossil fuel from the face of the earth. No follow-up, no question. No, hey, you know what? You did support the Green New Deal. You did support getting rid of fossil fuels. All of a sudden, you're just a reed in the wind, but they don't want to cover because, again, it was 3v1 last night. Record high consumer debt, doesn't want to talk about that. What she did say, she goes, gas prices are just too high. Housing's just too high. You're in office now. Now, that's what Trump needed to lead with. Last night, he ended with, you could just go back to the White House now. You could just go back to the Capitol, like right after we're done talking here. Take your jet over there and figure all this out now. See, that should have been what he did all last night, was just go over, you're in office now. You caused illegal immigration. Why don't you fix it now? You could head over there. Literally, I will cut this 30 minutes short if you go over there and head over and figure it out right now. What it should have been that, but Trump took the debate consistently, which we'll get into. Release terrorists into the country. That's a big one. And that would have been a big one because guess what today is? 9/11. So that would have been a great move by Trump going, Kamala, tomorrow's 9/11. One of the worst tragedies to hit this. I know you like to think January 6th was a tragedy. No. The tragedy was September 11th, terrorists flying freaking planes into buildings, and you're allowing terrorists in this country, according to the CIA, 1,000+ terrorists in the country. That's what he should have done. Ukraine war, Israel war. This is all the accomplishments of the Biden administration that the media didn't really want to cover last night. They would point the blame at Donald Trump for all this, even though he had nothing to do with half of it. Disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. It's amazing that they sat there, the media, and let that one go. Violent crime skyrocketing. She's going to be like, well, crime is down. First of all, and if you notice, I think the moderators might have stepped in on this one, talking about the FBI. And Trump pushed back, and rightfully so. What they started to do was actually not record certain crimes. I'm going to say that again. Yes. The localities of police and in some areas where the FBI is pulling their data from aren't actually reporting crimes they were told to stop reporting. So that was to help sit there and minimize the impact of the skyrocketing crime. It's still worse than ever. Tried to jail political rival in name of democracy, but they didn't want to push back on that one. Lie. And where was the whole idea, by the way, of the cognitive decline cover-up? That wasn't there. The only reason I checked the box on our bingo card for that one was because Donald Trump mentioned that Joe Biden didn't know if he was president or not, that he's still trying to figure out who's running the country. So I figured that was kind of a little bit of a sidestep of being polite of, hey, why'd you cover up for his decline? But no conversation there. So Trump really missed the ball, you guys, on multiple attempts. I love Trump. As I've always said, I'm going to vote for the guy, but he missed big time last night. Declared war on American energy, record low test scores, K through 12, most unpopular president, vice president in American history. So those are just to touch a few. And remember, the media could have had an endless field day with the failures of the Biden-Harris administration. And what they did was they turned the script on Donald Trump. What they did was sit there and blame Donald Trump for everything. What's astonishing is they didn't want to bring up the idea really that she was the border czar. They talked about it a little bit. Well, here's a little bit of what that graph looks like that they didn't really want to touch on last night. They want to fact check Donald Trump all night, but they didn't want to fact check the fact that, gee, man, Kamala, right when you were named border czar, tons of spikes. Weird. Hey, Kamala, how is it that you and your boss broke every record that's ever existed in terms of immigration during your tenure? It's frustrating. It's unbelievable. But you know what? We calmed down a little bit after last night because look, at the end of the day, is it really going to matter? Probably not all that much. Probably not all that much. Now, the other thing that for some reason they didn't mention is this right here. Biden-Harris from U.S. News loses 300. By the way, it's 350,000. 350,000 migrant children. The numbers at risk of sex trafficking and forced labor. That's slavery, by the way. But she's going to sit there, call Trump a racist, all these other things. So nobody wants to talk about that. You guys, by the way, that comes after her August 18th tweet here. Yeah, that comes after this tweet right here. Let me, that doesn't really help because my logo is blocking it, but it says it's shameful. Do this. It's shameful. Our nation is failing to keep track of innocent migrant children. This is from 2018. Some of whom have fallen into the hands of human traffickers. But nobody wants to bring up that quote last night. Nobody wants to do their due diligence as moderating a freaking presidential debate. It's astonishing how these people get made millions of dollars and they really suck at their jobs. They are so bad at their jobs. And it really makes you wonder, and I'm really curious, Patriots in the chat, because I see y'all in there. Let's get a little bit of involvement going on. Do you think, oh, hand to God, really, do you think Democrats saw the same thing we did last night watching this? Do you think that they noticed the fact that the media is consistently just covering for the Democrats and the Biden-Harris administration? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious. I asked my wife that last night, and she says she hopes so, but I mean, do independents see it? Now, here's the thing also why I wanted to ask, because a lot of independents actually watch our show. There's more independents than there are conservative Republicans that watch the Bald Brad show. Just curious on what y'all think. I'm a little tired from yesterday, so I'm drinking some cold brew coffee. Now, we get into a little bit of the debate last night, and Kamala said we need to address the needs of the American people. Folks, she hasn't done it for 3.5 years. She hasn't addressed anybody's needs.
So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do.
This is where Donald Trump, when she was done talking, should have stepped in and said, then why haven't you done it? If everything was so great under your tenure, if everything was so great with you being vice president and Joe Biden being president, why do you need to turn the page? What page needs to be turned? Wouldn't you want to stay on the same exact page with the same exact plan that you've been doing if it was so great, fine, and dandy? Kamala, gas prices are through the roof. Nobody's even seen some of those gas prices in their lifetime. Grocery prices, people can't afford to eat, Kamala. You have illegal immigrants, in some cases migrants, like these Haitians, eating dogs, cats, ducks, and birds at local parks.
about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for. Address what we must do to support.
She doesn't have a damn plan. Her housing shortage is to give people money, subsidize housing so that the housing prices increase. It's not a plan. You're giving $6,000 for first-time child, parental children. Like if I had a child this year, I don't know how you phrase that. You're going to give them $6,000. Folks, you know the math on how much it costs to raise a kid. $6,000 the first year is not going to do anything. It's a drop in the bucket. Yeah, sure, it helps. But what about everybody else that has children already? Those deductions go away. No conversation about that. No follow-up from the media.
Support our small businesses. Address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Now, here's the thing. We always say this. There's not a mirror in sight for Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party. The Democrats will sit there. I mean, she's playing it off like she's not even in the White House right now. They are so tired of the same old play. You're talking about yourself. Isn't it amazing? Is that what she's doing is she's projecting all her failures, all her dog bleat policies onto Donald Trump and the Republican Party? They've been doing it for years. We've seen it from Karine Jean-Pierre. Illegal immigration's Donald Trump's fault. Ukraine, Russia's Donald Trump's fault. Israel's Donald Trump's fault. North Korea's Donald Trump's fault. The economy. Oh, we inherited a terrible economy. No, you didn't. Inflation was 1.4%. You just had to open things back up and allow things to flourish. People just went back to work. We created 16 million new jobs. Unbelievable. Holly, thank you so much for being a part of the Bald Brad Army. Look at that badge next to the name. I appreciate it, Holly. Thank you so much. Folks, give Holly a shout out in the chat. Always greatly appreciated. I see all of you over at Rumble as well. We got a split chat going, baby. But a great chat nonetheless, Holly. You're going to love the community here, that's for sure. Now, President Trump says every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them. It's called weaponization. They weaponized it. Look, he's not wrong here. He's not wrong in saying this. The problem is that he took the bait.
Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's the criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me.
You know, her facial expression, she was actually really hit hard about that it was over-exaggerated and trying to make it like, oh, you're so dumb. Oh, you're such an idiot. Oh, really? Oh, you're so crazy. Oh, my gosh. I told you she was going to do that, right? She's a great manipulator, folks.
By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
Now, you want to know something? And again, I told you during the debate last night that this was all part of the strategy. The strategy was this. They know Trump has an ego. We all know Trump has an ego. Trump's ego is enormous. Again, I love the guy. I'm beating him up slightly here because he didn't perform the way that I thought he would and needed to. Everything that they did, he had to sit there and defend. He was on the defense the entire time. I understand it was 3v1. Going up against January 6th, he felt like he had to defend his ego. He didn't. He needed to just turn that back. He did a great job. They brought up January 6th during the debate with Joe Biden. He did a phenomenal job with turning it back onto Joe about the illegal immigration, all that stuff. He didn't need to address a single thing that she brought up about the race, about the lawyer or the law cases that he was facing, to the January 6th stuff. He didn't need to address any of that. He just needed to continue to just beat her over the head with the terrible economy. People can't afford food, the massive amount of illegal immigration, the terrorism, the terrible foreign policy. You're in the White House now. Why aren't you fixing it now? That's all he needed to just repeat himself for an hour and a half. That's all he had to do. You guys, he missed dozens and dozens of attempts here. So Trump had in my opinion, and this is my opinion, Trump had a really bad night. He had a very bad night. Kamala Harris, showed up the exact way I thought she was going to do. Manipulate, right? Look at him. Oh, Donald. Oh. Now, I phrased it earlier on in the show about because she's going to come out with her policy so late that he's going to say one thing and then she's going to be like, oh, well, Donald, I'm for fracking. Do you not remember? Remember how I did that exact same act out right there, that same charade? That's what she did. Oh, that's just crazy. Oh, Americans aren't Haitians aren't eating cats and dogs in the pond. Oh, you just came up with that. Like that's the whole stuff she was doing last night. It was like this. We're in a courtroom and the scenario was in real life that the female sat there and stabbed to beat the shit out of the male. And you're in the courtroom and the male's trying to defend himself going, whoa, I didn't do anything. That didn't happen. He hit me. He did this and that. No, he's terrible. Even though it's an abusive relationship because she's beating the crap out of him consistently. It's terrible. That's the type of manipulator she is. It's really evil and it's really disgusting. I hope that came across clear as far as what I'm talking about. But she's radical, you guys. She's crazy. She's a psycho. And you have, yes, as crazy as it sounds, Kamala did support taxpayer-funded gender transitions. She was playing it off like, well, that's not a real thing. Last night she was like, oh, well, that didn't happen. What are you talking about, you crazy old man?
Tonight, Kamala Harris releasing details of her policy positions for the first time on her campaign website. A K-file investigation has uncovered, meantime, a 2019 questionnaire. And in this questionnaire, Harris laid out some much more liberal stances, among them on immigration. So in 2019, in what K-file found, she said she would cut funding to ICE, writing, quote, our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals, families, and children. I was one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for a decrease in funding to ICE. Well, now, of course, she's touting the Biden administration's executive order to crack down on the border. K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. Andrew, that's pretty incredible on its own when you're talking about what you found here on ICE. What else did you find?
Yeah, and this was a questionnaire that she filled out for the ACLU, and this questionnaire is really an interesting snapshot in time of that 2019 Democratic primary. Kamala Harris was trying to get to the left of Bernie Sanders. She was trying to get to the left of Elizabeth Warren, and you really
think about that. To the left of Bernie Sanders, to the left of Elizabeth Warren. That's insane. And you know what? She sat there and she laughed off the fact that her father was a freaking communist, or is, and the fact that she's a Marxist, which is just a Marxist is just an ideology. Communism is actual implementation. That's what she wants to do. Trump was right here. Now, Trump brought up, and this was a good move by him, to remind the American people that he was shot in the head for democracy, and she's going to destroy it.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere. This is the one.
Here's the thing. Again, he doesn't need to bring up the Russia investigation. Sadly enough, a lot of Americans still think that's real. He could say it till he's blue in the face. Americans still think that the Russia hoax was real, that the Mueller report was legit. I mean, the report itself was legit, but you understand what I mean. The fictitious outcome that something happened with him and Russia and the hoax. He's right. He did take a bullet in the head for democracy, but he needed to continue to spin that on Kamala Harris. And he did later on in the debate where he brought up the idea of, hey, you know what? Who voted for you? How the hell are you on stage with me right now with the idea that you didn't receive a single vote, but you're just going to sit there and tout democracy consistently? It's not democracy. It's Marxism. And that's the stuff that she's pushing there. And that's exactly why she's on that stage with him, because they performed a coup and they sat there and got rid of Joe Biden. And he was right to say that Joe Biden hates her. So all Kamala has is a bunch of BS. All she did was lie the entire night, and the media rubbed her shoulders for it.
A quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again.
That's another lie, but no follow-up here. No follow-up from the media on the lies. I mean, you all were there in the chat. I read it. I was there with you. That's all she did last night was lie. I'm not quite sure if there was, in any phrase that she mentioned, if there was an actual truth that came out of her mouth. I'll have to rewatch the debate later, but I'm almost positive in every sentence that she stated last night, she lied through her teeth in some way, shape, or form. Remember, a lie is part truth and part falsehood. In the same way, Satan spoke the exact same way. Evil talks in both truth and lies at the same time. They mix and parse words together. That's all she did last night, and the media let it go. But Donald Trump says something. Oh, sorry, sir, that's not really happening. We don't have any reports. Even though he was telling the truth, there are Haitians. Dude, you could go on Twitter and watch the video of them cutting the heads off animals and then grilling it and eating it. You have community members coming out talking to their local freaking government officials saying, can we stop this? They're eating animals. They're eating our pets and dogs. And he's talking about it last night, right? And the moderators go, oh, sorry, sir, we have reporting that just isn't true. And you're going to let her rant and rave the entire night about a bunch of nonsense? Frustrating. That's why I said, if you're just joining us, folks, allegedly there will possibly be another debate. Her spokespeople are saying, hey, we would love another one. I think it needs to be Fox News, and I think Fox News needs to sit there and be as biased as possible. I don't give a shit. I want 4 moderators and consistently hounding her. After they're done with that, no more debates. You got what was coming to you. They've been going after Donald Trump for years. I don't want any of this like, oh, well, we got to bring journalism back. We got to be better than the rest of the legacy media. Screw that. It's not cutesy time anymore. F that. I don't care about journalism. I don't care about being fair. They don't want to do it. Last night showed it that they couldn't do it, and they're consistently not going to do it. They're rubbing the shoulders of this lady in the Democrat Party. I want Fox News in there, and I want them to sit there and fact check the shit out of her for 2 hours straight. And I don't want a single fact check on Donald Trump just so they can ram it up there, you know what's, for exactly what they did last night. And that's why I'm so frustrated with this. Yeah, so you guys are pissed off too.
Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Shut
that
up.
He would weaponize the
No, he
Department
didn't.
of Justice against his political enemies.
See what I mean? This is what she was doing all last night. She's just talking about herself. And Joe Biden does the same thing. Karine Jean-Pierre does the same thing. John Kirby does the same thing. Anthony Blinken does the same thing. Jake Sullivan does the same thing. Ian Sams does the same thing. They all do it where they're just talking about themselves and projecting it off on somebody else. That's why it's titled The Great Manipulator. That's what a manipulator does. They sit there and take their lack of governance, their lack of leadership, whatever it may be, the lack of thereof, you fill in the blank, and project it onto somebody else that actually has the very qualities that we're looking for. It's astonishing. And I'm telling you, folks, people are watching this going, oh my God, she's a truth teller. Look at her. Believe all women.
Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military.
A really quick.
They put the military in a parking garage. They had them sleeping on pavement in our home country. This is the same lady that allowed 13 service members to get blown up. No pushback on that whatsoever. And don't worry, she keeps bragging how she was the last one in the room for it, because she probably loves seeing those men and women give up their lives, because she's a psycho. She's a psycho. She confirms that her values haven't changed. It's kind of a longer segment, but her values haven't changed, you guys. Nothing's changed, but all of a sudden all her policies have changed. So your values haven't changed, but your actions and policies have? What the hell does that mean?
For president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking, because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned.
We literally watched the clip together. We physically watched the clip together of her saying she's going to ban fracking on the debate stage. We watched it, and they're going to let it go.
banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid.
Will ban all fracking.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
That
In office.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. There's no question I'm in favor of banning. There's no question I'm in favor of banning. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
that will immediately.
Raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work.
And he's still a billionaire. And he's still a billionaire.
To say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work.
Wow, that's going to make a dent. Oh, goody. Wow. We're all going to feel that one.
That is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value.
Lady, you lost 350,000 children to sex trafficking and forced labor. What the hell are you talking about that you care about women? They're being raped, Kamala. They're being murdered at the border before they come to the border, after they come to the border. Listen to me clearly, Kamala. They're being raped and murdered in the thousands.
That is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Troy, thank you so much for the $5, sir. You're helping keeping the lights on here. I have as much hair left as you do, Bald Brad. After watching the debate last night, blood was boiling after the first 10 minutes. ABC is so biased. You couldn't have said it more perfect, sir. Thank you so much for the $5, and you're freaking spot on with that take. She's going to sit there. You know, let's play that last little bit again.
I have done protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed.
Her values haven't changed. Her policies have. What does that mean? The policies are BS. The values that she holds, which is communist Marxist values, that's what you're going to get implemented, folks. Your taxes are going to go through the roof. The economy is going to suck. Her foreign policy is going to be trash. There's going to be wars everywhere. Israel's going to take a beating because she has no backbone whatsoever. And boy, oh boy, it's going to be a rough 4 years if she gets in office, man. I am hoping that we don't allow her to ever step foot back into the Oval Office ever again. I understand she's vice president, but she still goes into the Oval Office. Now, I love this moment by Trump where he says that he's talking now. You guys remember that? Where it was a great moment because there's that famous clip of her saying that to, was it Mike Pence or somebody, where she goes, I'm talking now. Now listen to Trump here, because his New York accent actually came out a few times last night, which tells me he was very frustrated and he was tired of her bull crap. Very rarely does his accent come out. Here it did. Listen to this.
14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
You hear that? That sound familiar?
Mind, please. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? She went out.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, she knew. She knew. Step off. I'm trying to be careful with the cussing, but I love Trump there. It really showed and put her in her place many times. And again, Trump really just missed the ball in some areas. It doesn't mean he didn't land some punches. He absolutely did. But at this point, I am hoping for another debate, only if it's with Fox News. That's the only thing I want. Now, he had a great moment here where he brought up the fact of this comes from after January 6th debacle, where they're going after him, being prosecuted. Why are you, blah, blah, blah. He brings up, well, why aren't the people that are coming into our country being prosecuted? Why are not the people that burned down our cities being prosecuted? And look at her dumbass smug. Why are none of these people that took over Chaz or CHOP in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, ever prosecuted? Why is none of the Biden administration prosecuted for anything?
What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? What about those people? What are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world?
Look at her face like, oh, hold on. I'm going to recreate her face. Oh, poor Donald. He's so crazy. See, right? Oh my God, he's losing it, isn't he? So bad. Can you believe it? Look at the crazy old man next to me. Oh, thinking people are eating dogs and cats. Oh, those people should be prosecuted. Oh, crazy. That's what she was doing all night.
Not just South America. They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
This needed to be Trump all night. He keeps rephrasing this. Sound bites, folks. Sound bites. That's what wins elections here. Dan Bongino talks about it a lot. Sound bites, clips. This is exactly right. Everybody's going to be clipping this just as I did. This is exactly what we needed from Donald Trump. Why are they not being prosecuted? Why are you not fixing it? Why didn't you fix the border? Why are you not solving the Ukraine-Russia problem? Why didn't you fix gas prices? Why didn't you fix inflation was 9.1%? Why are you not doing all these things? And just repeat himself. That's what you just saw there. He needed to be doing all night. Why didn't you prosecute Black Lives Matter? Why didn't you prosecute Antifa? Why didn't you prosecute the illegal immigrants that are raping our children, Kamala? You're speaking so much about saving the women and helping all women and trust all women, all this Me Too movement stuff. Why aren't you sitting there helping the women that are being raped and murdered coming across the border? Why are you not helping the women that are being killed by fentanyl? Why are you not helping Americans that are being killed by fentanyl and these illegal aliens? Why are you not doing nothing about the terrorism that's taking place all across the globe? Why are you allowing the Houthis to attack our merchant vessels and go after our military troops in Iraq? Why are you allowing all this to happen? Why aren't you fixing this? You're in the White House now, Kamala. Can you look into the camera and tell the American people why you are not fixing this, but all of a sudden you want a page turner pretending this, everything's fine and dandy? Why don't you fix it now, Kamala? Please look into the camera and tell the American people why you're not fixing it now, right now. Just do stuff like that. That's all he needed to do. All night, he just needed to do that. Not address a damn negative thing. He didn't need to address January 6th. He didn't need to address his court cases. He didn't need to address whatever money he received from his father. He didn't need to do any of that, folks. So again, a lot of missed opportunities. Now, here's the thing. They also lied about the abortion stuff. Donald Trump was correct. Now, again, this is coming from somebody that was pro-choice majority of my life. Really, the person that got me to switch and kind of think more about abortion is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro can be credited for switching my viewpoint on abortion. Now, check this out. Under Tim Walz, again, this is the Daily Signal, babies born alive in botched abortion requirements were left to die. Then he removed reporting requirements. But no follow-up from the media, you guys. Oh, no follow-up from the media. No saying, oh, sorry, because remember, they're like, the media themselves go, that's not true. That doesn't happen. There's not a single state that allows that to take place. No, it is happening. And Donald Trump should have said, you know what, you guys are so much for abortions. You're so much for killing babies that you actually had an RV show up at your Democrat National Convention to perform abortions. And here she is again. lying through her teeth about the debunked a conversation, or I don't even call it a speech, an interview, I suppose, a press conference about both sides being okay. Snopes debunked it. She's going to bring up the lie here, but nothing from the legacy media. No peep.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
What's remarkable, again, is Snopes actually debunked this. You know, I guess we'll just go to it. Hold on one second. Because there's always Democrats in here, right? They go, show me the receipts. Why don't you look up the damn receipts yourself for once and stop expecting everybody else to do it, you Democrats? Why don't you just go ahead and read the news every once in a while rather than living under a rock thinking that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are actually running the country well? No, Trump did not call neo-Nazi white supremacists very fine people. Fact check. It took them 7 years. It took them 7 years to pull their heads out of their you-know-what. But that comes all the way back in June. June. It just shows you how far behind the Democrats are and how far ahead in the news cycle all of you are. You guys are well informed here. It's not just because you watch my show. I'm sure you guys do your own research and everything like that. But, you know, they can't do it. You know, they can't sit there and pull up an article. You know, God forbid. But they think Kamala Harris is doing a phenomenal job running the country. They actually believe everything she said. Truly, truly remarkable. I love this moment by Trump. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. and sign an executive order about the border basically right now. This was a good move on Trump. Again, he had some good punches, and I want to make sure I highlight those.
You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed. I ask you this. You talk about...
Again, it was a good moment right there by Trump, calling her out. Basically saying, why don't you just go do this now? We can leave. Let's cut it 30 minutes short, head up there and do an executive action, get Joey out of bed, unlock a CPAP machine, and get the ball rolling on that. But they won't do it. They won't do it. And I've always said this. It's a simple answer as to why they won't do it. They don't want to. That's really what it is. And let that one sink in. They don't want to. They don't want to execute the laws that are on the books. They don't want to do their job. It is that simple. There's no other reason for it. Now, there's outgrowth reasons, right? They want the votes. They want crime to flourish, right? Because then people tend to vote Democrat because they need to sit there and rely on the government for certain resources. So there's some outgrowths of why they want illegal immigration to happen. But nonetheless, they just don't want to do it. And that's just the matter of fact right there. Trump was going off about the prime minister of Hungary, about the world blowing up. You also have Kamala Harris talking about Israel. She failed and lied about that one. She hates Israel, which is actually true. If you're somebody that's Israeli or even a Jew, even if you're a non-practicing Jew, I personally think you'd be out of your mind to vote for Kamala Harris, because she wouldn't mind Israel probably being wasted off the face of the earth. She says, oh, we support Israel. No, you don't. You won't even call the guy. They're not even talking to Israel in the same way. Joe Biden's not even talking to Vladimir Putin, not even making a phone call. That's not my opinion. That's literally what he said. They haven't talked in like 2 years. But don't worry, they're solving everything, guys. They care about your kitchen table issues. They're gonna fix it. Why they haven't done so, I don't know. They've had 3.5 years to do it. Can you imagine you going up to your boss? Your boss, like 3.5 years ago, says, hey, you know, I need you to fix this. I need you to get this under control. Maybe some bleep storms happened during those 3.5 years. And, well, you don't do it. You don't do any of it, but you go, oh, I'm going to get to it. I promise. I'm going to solve all those issues. I'm going to solve all those problems. Don't worry. Yes, sir. I'm going to get to it. Why would you be promoted? Well, because you're a Democrat. That's why you'd be promoted. And two, why would you still have a job? And again, Donald Trump brought up a great point last night. Why is nobody fired? No, I really do mean this, you guys. Maybe somebody could check me on this. I don't think anybody in the entire 3.5 years of the Biden administration has actually been fired. I don't think there's been one person that's actually been fired that we know about. Afghanistan pullout, illegal migrants. You had a guy sit there and actually lie to Congress. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas lied to Congress to there multiple times. It wasn't just once or twice, or it was way past 5 times. We have him on tape, specifically being questioned by Jim Jordan and of Ohio, and just completely lying. No fire, nothing to see here, no big deal. Let's just, move past it. So she refused to answer why she destroyed our economy and gave us historic inflation. She refused to answer why she let 20 million illegals into the country, and ABC News goes 11 million. And did I not call that early on when they brought up illegal immigration? I was like, here we go. I called it even before the actual debate even started, based on the crap they're pushing beforehand on the news cycle before the debate started. Going, oh, here we go. The shenanigans have already started. And don't take my word for it. Go back and watch it. It's all there. Refused to oppose barbaric late-term abortions in the 9th month. It's not happening. It's not real. And then ABC News, right, the moderators, Mr. President, nobody's being killed after 9 months. Nobody's being born. Weird, because we just pulled up an article in real time. Isn't that amazing that a guy in his closet that doesn't even do this for a living, does it for a hobby, for fun, can sit there and call out her BS? But for some reason, the legacy media, part of the Walt Disney Company, ABC, can't actually sit there and have all this stuff ready at the whim. Now, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing. They're covering, and they'll continue to cover for her up until the election because they need the votes. They don't want Donald Trump to sit there and be president of the United States. And he doesn't want the war in Ukraine to keep going. He doesn't want any of that stuff. So let's try to find a little bit of the stuff from yesterday after the debate and see what people had to say. One thing that was cool was Donald Trump actually stuck around. I thought this was a good move by him. Donald Trump stuck around and took questions from the press. Right after for a good while, because Kamala Harris, guess where she went? She went home. Oh yeah, no, she didn't take any questions from the press. Isn't that amazing? Like, I really don't understand the media whatsoever. The media it's like an abusive relationship. They just love being abused by the Democrats. You know what I mean? They love being walked around on a little leash by the Democrat Party. They love being pegged by the Democrat Party is what they just love it, you guys. They absolutely flourish at it. So Kamala Harris did not do a great job explaining her policy. We got this from yesterday as well.
President Kamala Harris did not do a great job today really explaining her policy shifts, right? And that is what they have been seizing on. They're really trying to define her for voters when voters have a lot of questions about her policy position.
Exactly. And this is why the guys at the Daily Wire said Donald Trump needed to take this moment and define who Kamala Harris is, because she can't do it. She's too lost in the weeds right now because of her failures as vice president, with Joe Biden running the country as well as her and driving it into the ground. You can't define a policy if you don't have one. She has no policy. She just updated her website like 2 days ago. Like 50 days into her being nominated as the Democrat Party's lead runner, she had no policy. By the way, she still does it. She's pulling numbers out of her, you know what? $25,000 for first-time home buyers. $6,000 for first-time people having babies. That's it. I'm going to build 3 million new homes. No, you're not. And by the way, those 3 million new homes would have been built anyways. It's just numbers that she's just throwing out there. No conversation about fixing the tax brackets. She wants to increase corporate tax. You think you're going to be getting raises if they increase your boss's taxes? We're going to help small businesses. I'm going to give them $50,000. Most small businesses don't make money in the first few years. They're not even going to be able to capitalize on that anyways. It's a bunch of baloney, you guys. Vast majority of small startups don't make any money in their first 3 years or more. Most people take a loss on their tax return. You're going to get $50,000 credit. So is that a credit to offset the loss or the gains? I mean, what credit does that look like? Because not all credits kind of work the same. We'll see. Now, you have JD Vance here speaking about how Harris effectively echoing platitude after platitude after platitude. He's not wrong here.
You had Kamala Harris effectively echoing platitude after platitude after platitude. The American people can't pay their grocery bills on platitudes. They can't put their kids in a house on platitudes. And Kamala Harris had a lot to say, but very little actual substance behind it for how she's going to lower grocery prices, secure the border, and make housing more affordable in this country. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She can't run on a record, and she apparently can't run on much of her plans either, because it's just a lot of slogans and not a whole lot of substance.
Yes, but slogans and sound bites win elections. That's the problem. And she had a lot of them last night. The other problem is she was lying. And don't expect the media to call her out on any of this. Don't expect the media to be running clips going and fact checking her, right? Going, now she lied about this, she lied about that, she lied about this. They don't want to talk about that. Here's JD Vance again. JD Vance, I mean, I'm telling you guys, look, I like the guy. I like him. I'm all JD. Now, I still like Vivek. Okay, I'm still bromance with Vivek, but JD Vance did a phenomenal job last night speaking on behalf of his presidential nominee as well, Donald Trump, and himself.
Debate didn't talk nearly enough about the fact that Americans are struggling because they can't afford groceries, they can't afford housing, and a lot of their kids are dying of fentanyl overdoses because Kamala Harris has let the Mexican drug cartels take over the southern border. This is a disgrace, Senator, what's going on in our country, John, and we could do so much better if we just had better leadership. We've got the best workers, the most beautiful country, the best natural resources, but Kamala Harris's leadership is squandering the great benefits of this country. It's why we've got to get back to Donald Trump's leadership. This debate didn't talk nearly enough.
So when I hear that type of tone, Senator, you know, that usually tells me he's going to step in and try to like debunk what JD Vance is saying or play down what he's saying, but he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely correct. You also have here Hannity saying the biggest epic fail here is that early voting is beginning, and we still don't know if she supports free housing, healthcare, education, and sex change operations for illegal immigrants. Hannity's correct here.
Epic fail here is that, you know, we're now 50 days in, and early voting, for example, we're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania tonight, starts 1 week from tonight, and then it rolls out in all these other swing states that matter. The fact that we don't know if she still supports, you know, free housing, healthcare, education, and sex change operations for illegal immigrants is unfathomable to me after an hour-and-a-half debate. Does she still support defund, dismantle, no bail laws? Do we have an answer on no fracking and no drilling? She didn't say that in 2000. Even CNN fact-checked her after her 16-minute and 29-second debate. We don't have answers on the economy. Bidenomics being a great success. President Trump, I thought, was effective on the issue of, okay, 3.5 years you've been vice president. Why haven't you gotten these things done?
Correct.
And in many, many ways, that pass that she's gotten has been the greatest disservice, I think, tonight to the American people. That's on ABC Disney. That really shouldn't be the other candidate's job to be challenging them, especially when you have muted microphones. We don't know anything about Kamala Harris, and that
he made a really great point there that why is it Donald Trump's challenging her on her policies and not the ABC moderators? And that was all last night. Not challenging her on the economy. If she gets in office, the economy is just going to tank once again. And that's why, folks, we want to give a shout out to Birch Gold. Did you know that there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds that have yet to be spent? It's just sitting there. It's probably going to other countries for all we know. That's right. There's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months here, folks. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID, meaning it's going to be a nice little parting gift by Joe Biden if Donald Trump is elected president. It's a last double middle finger to him. Hey, you deal with the problem now. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that had high prices that were basically hurting most Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten, believe it or not. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings and in uncertain times. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped tens of thousands of Americans protect their retirement savings by converting an IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Now, to learn more about this, all you need to do is go to birchgold.com/rumble and get a free, it's all free, you're not spending any money here. You're just going to birchgold.com/rumble and get a free, no obligations info kit on diversifying your retirement into an gold IRA. Again, birchgold.com/rumble to get your free info kit on gold today, folks. Make sure you check it out. If you have an advisor already, bring that with you, have a conversation about it with them, and see if that's the best option for you and your family to convert that IRA or 401k into a gold IRA. So Hannity was spot on there, and a lot of people were. Chris Sturwell said Harris definitely got help from the moderators. Yeah, again, I would imagine everybody had to see this, right? It wasn't just us, Republicans, conservatives, independents. I mean, I feel like Democrats had to see the insanity last night.
And what came through tonight, a couple things came through very clearly. Number one, Harris definitely got help from the moderators, right? They were fact-checking Trump hard. They were going after Trump much harder than her. The questions for Trump were more pointed than they were for her. And what came...
Again, you would think that you have... Let me go back. You have a guy here, Donald Trump, that does nothing but give the media a bunch of sound bites, clips to run, interviews, all those things. Like, you would think that he's helping the media do their job of giving them news and interviews. So you would think that, if anything, they would probably help the guy because he's helping them. But no, she hasn't done any interviews. She's done one 18-minute BS interview. And then other than that, nothing, not even a press conference. She won't even talk to reporters. She left last night. Donald Trump hung around and actually talked to a lot of reporters. I mean, it is so ass backwards. I can't make meaning and sense of it. JD Vance hangs around and he talks to the reporters left and right that we saw. Now, you also have Waters. Jesse Waters of Fox News said, I thought she was going to come out with some of these memorable lines. All the memorable lines were from Donald Trump. That is true. There were some memorable lines from Donald Trump. There's just a lot of lies from Kamala Harris.
I thought she was going to come out with some of these memorable lines. All the memorable lines were from Donald Trump. Run, spot, rum. Shh, 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 I'm speaking. Does that sound familiar? Wake Joe Biden up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and go get him to sign this thing to close the border.
That one was good.
I took a bullet because you said I was a threat to democracy. And they're eating the pets.
They are eating the pets. And she said that wasn't happening. What I loved was they even got Robert F. Kennedy out there, you guys, after on Newsmax talking about the debate, which was a huge win for us.
We had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. None of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
Yep.
Fortunately, we had moderators.
The reason why they allowed everything to pass was because they hate Donald Trump. And also, again, they led with the really tough question at the beginning, got nothing from her. And remember, a lot of people don't really watch past 30 minutes or an hour. So those closing arguments don't really mean much unless somebody clips it and people can watch at the end. That's why it was so important for Donald Trump to lead with the idea of, hey, why don't you just do it now? Why don't you just go figure this out all right now? Why are you not doing it? So a lot of people, Tom Cotton was out there, Marco Rubio was out there, RFK was out there. Trump arrives to the spin room right here.
Having a lot of great calls that just came out there. Phone calls and lots of other calls, but you see the calls. A very important debate. Now, she wants to do another one because she got beaten tonight, but...
So he goes out to the spin room, and good for him. Kamala, well, she went home. Yeah, Kamala Harris just went home.
Why won't you commit to a second debate with Kamala Harris?
She wants a second debate because she lost tonight very badly. So they immediately called for a second debate because they lost. So we'll, think about that. But she immediately called for a second. Look, we're looking at polls. We're looking at polls. The worst poll that we...
Let the guy talk and just shut up for once. He's taking your question. Freaking greedy. Just shut up and let the guy talk. You notice they always interrupt the guy? Just shut up for once. He's sitting there taking your question. He's going to take more from you. Just let him get out what he's going to say. He's giving you the time here, and you're treating him like a freaking animal. That gets me going.
We've had was 71 that I see. 71% to like 24 or 25%.
You also had Ron DeSantis coming out there, and he just said the same thing that everybody else is saying. The moderators for fact-checking him. You have You have also the RNC, the old RNC chair, I believe who he was, saying that Kamala Harris didn't address like the big issues of the night, which was true. There were some clips of voters, but I want to get to this one. Where's it at? With Caitlin Collins. Let me look through my my booklet here. Let me go to my profile real quick. My profile has this clip of JD Vance sitting there basically destroying Caitlin Collins. And I think this is the clip right here.
I think he did. I mean, he did it in the closing statement. He also really hammered her on her inconsistencies, right? This is a person who said she wanted to ban fracking. Now she says she doesn't. She wanted to defund the police. Now she said she doesn't. She wanted a secure border. I thought that he really did, actually. On 3 issues in particular, I think he was very focused on hammering Kamala Harris's inconsistencies with her record, what she says now versus what she said even a few weeks ago in some cases. It was on the border, it's on fracking, and it's on defund the police. That was clearly what he's most focused on, and I think it's not surprising because those are 3 of the issues that the American people care the most about. I mean, look, this is a person who was to the far left of her own party and now is trying to pretend that she's effectively Donald Trump. My favorite line of the night is when he said she's going to don a MAGA cap and pretend that she agrees with me on everything. I think the American people are too smart to be fooled by Kamala Chameleon acting to be somebody that she's clearly not. I think he did. I mean, he did.
Now, she was being a little bit spicy with him earlier. I want to see if I can find it. But he sat there, did a great job against Caitlin Collins. Here's some Pennsylvania. This is what I was looking for. Here's some Pennsylvania voters talking about their opinions after the debate here.
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming into the night?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did. I think it's...
So that's a way for that guy to discredit everything she just said. That's why he did that. And by the way, that was from CNN. So again, it's all manipulation, you guys. A lot of people don't realize the amount of manipulation that the media does just from their simple follow-up questions. And a lot of this comes from more of a statistical understanding of, well, you're basically conducting a study. You're just conducting a study at the end of the day through your questions. And your questions can elicit some sort of response. And that response might not be in the favor of the researcher or the person that's eliciting the research themselves, meaning that reporter right there. So she gives this whole spiel of, yeah, you know what, we're comparing the people. I'm actually liking Trump, whether I like the way he talks or not. Look, the country is better under him. And so she says all these positive things. And then he goes, well, who'd you vote for in 2016? Did you vote for Trump? Yeah. Were you already going to vote for Trump before you came here? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, let's move on. You know, as if there's nothing to see here. Now, I get why he did it, and I would have done it if it was a lefty as well, but I like the fact that she's calling out the truth there. Now, ABC News comes out last night. This is Elizabeth Schultz. It says Kamala was asked if she believes Americans are better off now than 4 years ago. But remember, she didn't answer the question. And how could she? Because there is no good response.
President Harris was asked if she believes Americans are better off now than they were 4 years ago. And frankly, as you pointed out, she didn't answer the question. She instead pivoted to talk about, in broad brushstrokes, some of the policies that she's highlighting: small business tax credits, down payment assistance for home buyers, an expanded child tax credit. Vice President Harris was asked,
where was this during the debate? You want to know why they all come out and act like they're unbiased afterwards? Is because everybody's already asleep. Nobody watches the analysis. Everybody wants to have their own opinions on it, and they all went to bed. Now, you also even have Tulsi Gabbard out there. I'm telling you, it's remarkable. Where are all the Democrats? Where are all the Democrats in the spin room? You have nothing but Republicans sitting here taking over the news, and great. I'm not complaining about that. That's awesome. But again, why does the media treat us like shit all the time, but yet the Democrats treat them like crap, but they do nothing but rub the shoulders and eat the gunk between the Democrats' toes? Tulsi Gabbard was a huge pickup for us, by the way. Amazing.
He clarified and told the truth about a lot of things that Kamala Harris accused him of that were outright lies. She was trying to tell the American people that he supports a federal abortion ban. He does not. She tried to tell the American people that he's trying to ban IVF, something that's personal to me because it's something that my husband and I, for years, tried to start our own family through the use of IVF. It didn't work out for us, works out for a lot of families. President Trump was quick on the draw when that Alabama court ruled, and he immediately said, no, we have to protect IVF, and the Alabama state legislature took action. She continued to say things. She's trying to say he's trying to ban birth control. That is also 100% false. So President Trump, I think, did a good job in clarifying the truth after Kamala Harris continued to lob lie after lie at him, saying things that he stood for that frankly just are not true.
You know what I really would have, I didn't see anybody do this. Now I could be wrong because I didn't watch every single political individual talk last night. This is, by the way, this is ABC talking right here, okay? ABC, so y'all can see. I would have loved somebody just look at them. Hey, can you explain to me why your outlet was so biased in this debate? Why'd you guys act like that? And just sit there. I just, one person, you know what I mean? That could just sit there and take up all the airtime just for a specific segment. Hey, why did you guys sit there and fact check Donald Trump but not fact check Kamala Harris? Here's a list of things you guys didn't fact check her on, and just ramble off like 20 things just really quickly and just see what they say. And looking in the camera, can you explain to your viewer why you're manipulating them in some way, shape, or form? Can you explain to them why you didn't want to sit there and actually push back on Kamala Harris? I would have just loved to see that. I think all of you would have loved to see that as well. So here's more Pennsylvania voters talking about their opinions about the debate.
He spoke facts. She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
What were your thoughts? She made, Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire
that guy in the back gets it. He's like, yep.
Moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance is just a facade.
Hey, maybe more independents and Democrats did see what I saw, as well as the rest of you patriots in the chat. Maybe they all saw it. Here's another one, another Pennsylvania voter talking about his opinions.
When I first heard that we were abandoning or we were withdrawing from Afghanistan and the way it was happening, I had my Kennedy moment. It was very similar to when we decided to invade Iraq back under President Bush. And when I saw that we were leaving that amount of high-tech equipment in the hands of our enemy, and later that day or later that week, I saw on the news where them celebrating with our guns in their hands, I realized what a travesty that was. In the loss of money in that we abandoned when we left, plus the very bullets that we left there that they were shooting at us as we flew away into planes. When I first...
Now, he sounds like maybe a single issue voter. I could be wrong on that. But C-SPAN posted a debate of who won. Now, what's funny is, folks, over 200,000 people voted here. We had about 50 people vote on our end, just with our channel. And ours was pretty similar to what C-SPAN got here. 24% thought Kamala Harris won. Almost 76 folks thought Donald Trump won. That was very close to what we got on our poll last night. Matter of fact, I think we might have got 70%. Somebody can go back and look at it. But I'm part of the 24%, unfortunately. And I think maybe I'm being too harsh on Trump, and I very well could be. But I just didn't think he gave his best performance last night. But you know what? I love to see things like this. This is what I love. Look at all the people out, Republicans. I mean, the Democrats and the legacy media are going, oh, we're not unified as a party. You guys, we've actually never been more unified than right now. You got Tim Scott, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, you got Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. I mean, the whole room is littered in that spin room with Republicans. Where are all the Democrats who want to fix the country at? Where is everybody? Where's Joe Biden? Why is his ass not in that spin room? Where are they? We're going to sit there and figure everything out. We're going to do this. Let's see what Vivek's saying. Some of you are asking. Well, this clip's only 10 seconds. So let me find a Vivek one for y'all. There was one where Vivek was speaking. I know we got a lot of Vivek fans in the crowd here. Let me actually go to his site because usually he just posts what he says. I got you all.
I do think the strongest moment for either candidate that'll matter 3 weeks from now is actually Donald Trump being crystal clear on his position on abortion. Kamala Harris and their campaign have consistently been stating outright, as though it's a fact, that he would sign a federal abortion ban. He did a good job tonight saying that this is an issue for the states. It's an issue where different Republicans may even differ. But he got a chance to make his position known on one of the issues where Democrats were trying to hang Republicans out to dry. And I thought he excelled at that. It's the most underappreciated part of tonight.
I love the fact that, again, they leave it up to the states to vote. Leave it up to the people. We're a republic. Leave it up to the people to decide what they want to do. Not everything that we want internally as individuals is going to be what everybody else wants. That's what's great about That's what's great about a republic, is that utilizing that form of democracy for representatives and to get your voice out and vote is great. But for some reason, Democrats don't want that type of stuff, right? And that shows through their actions of putting forth Kamala Harris without a single vote. They don't care about democracy.
Interesting, Vivek, because Tulsi says that the former president brought voice to the American people. Did he bring the fire to the feet of Kamala Harris? Did he press her enough on all of her flip-flops?
Well, I think the most important part was that he actually spoke for the 80-plus million Americans, probably 90-plus million Americans, if things go well, that are going to vote for him. But also for many of the Americans who may even disagree with some of his positions. They don't want to stay out of World War III. I think Donald Trump spoke really clearly to the fact that Kamala Harris's words pale in comparison to his actions in securing peace. We were on the brink of war with North Korea, kept us out of it. Avoided two major wars that we're now in, Russia, Ukraine, what's going on in the Middle East. And so I think he really landed that. As far as it goes to holding Kamala Harris's feet to the fire, you had muted mics in each direction. That's the job of the moderators. And particularly one of the two moderators, I thought, did a disastrous job today in feigning fact checks of Donald Trump without remotely even appearing to apply those same standards to Kamala Harris. But I do trust the voters, Trace. They've been tricked by the media before. I think many voters are now attuned to that. And so what we may see is that may actually backfire in a counterintuitive way where people feel like Donald Trump's being set up.
Yeah, you know what? It gives me goosebumps listening to J.D. Vance, Vivek, Tulsi Gabbard. I'll tell you what, guys. I think Donald Trump has a dream team. There's a lot of mistakes on his team in 2016. That's why he had to fire a lot of people. He had a lot of people that were holdovers. He had a lot of people that were willing to leak stuff. Look, the team that he has now, right now, it gives me goosebumps talking about it. I'm going as far to say he has the dream team. Vivek, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. Can you imagine RFK? He's not going to be the CIA director, but God, can you imagine? Can you imagine the stuff that we would get from RFK if he was CIA director? Ooh, it'd be good. You got Tim Scott. You got Lindsey Graham, who's, but you got a lot of people here. A lot of people. Ron DeSantis, right? Greg Abbott, Doug Ducey, I think of Doug Ducey, Carrie Lake. I mean, the list goes on of who Republicans have here that are going to support Donald Trump and make America great again. Who do the Democrats have? Elizabeth Warren? Joe Biden? Hillary Clinton? People that ran this country in the ground, supported terrorism in different fronts? Really? That's who you guys have? Who else? Who else do they have? Bernie Sanders? A socialist? Elizabeth Warren, another socialist? Don't worry, guys. They call themselves Democrat socialists. Give me a break. Give me a break. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We don't believe it one bit, Patriots. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you hit that like button. If you're a new-time viewer, welcome. We're a group of patriots. It's made up of conservatives, Republican, independents. I think we do have maybe a few Democrats in here, kind of slowly getting red-pilled. But if you think we deserve your subscription, hit that subscribe button or hit that follow button over at Rumble. It's absolutely free. It doesn't charge you nothing. You just need an account. It doesn't charge you monthly or anything of the sort. We do have monthly subscription if you want. Some of you have been asking, hey, Brad, I'd love to support you other than going on YouTube. If you go to baldbrad.com, I rarely actually plug this. I've only plugged it once or twice, the actual website. If you go to baldbrad.com, up here at the top right is a donate tab. And if you click that, I changed it, and actually Neil asked for this. I changed it so you can choose $10, $20, $30, $40 or a custom amount a month. You can do one-time donation if you would like, folks. Please don't feel like you have to, okay? And then monthly, weekly. So you could do something along those lines if you would like. The only issue is you don't get a badge and stuff, but I will shout you out because it sends me an email and everything like that. We get 98% of the proceeds. I think it's like 98 point something. Whereas YouTube takes 30%, 35% cut. And then Rumble takes, I think, 10 or 20 as well or something like that. So if you want most of your hard-earned money to go back into the show, just go to baldbrad.com and make a difference here. You help us keep the lights on. So again, I don't want to be like, oh, you must do it. It's just we get emails asking, hey, how can I support you? It's just easier addressing this rather than writing a bunch of emails, and it saves me a bunch of time. So if you want to, just head to our website. We have a bookstore. You can catch a bunch of stuff there as well. We pay for the website. I made it myself. But you contributing, that's what helps us keep things going. So love your channel, Brett. Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate it. I love hanging out with you all. I do got to get ready and get out of here, but I appreciate all your love and support. We'll be back here tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, like usual, to see, well, what's going on with breaking news, politics, and culture, folks. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely day. Share our stuff all over social media. And Patriots, I'll see you later here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care.